Possibilism is the idea that social factors are the most influential in human actions and the outcomes of those actions. They believe that these social factors are more important to humans than the environmental factors. People can take possibilism to mean that the environment is a set of constraints that humans can overcome with wits and creativity, but people could also take this to mean that humans can adapt to their environment the best they can. People who believe in possibilism do not think that the environment doesn't play a part in the human thinking process or in human actions, because that would be silly. They just think that there are things that are more heavily weighed into actions and outcomes of humans. The opposite of possibilism is environmental determinism, which pretty much means that the environment determines what we're going to do and how that's going to turn out. Both are similar in that they try to describe the human environment relationship. This is important to understand how humans affect the environment and vice versa, how the environment can affect humans. In the future, we want to make sure that humans can sustain themselves, and we need the environment to do that. People want to know how humans can hurt the environment and how the environment in turn can hurt humans to make sure that everything is okay in the future, unforeseeable future. We want the human race to go on. Agriculture could be called an example of possibilism because people have definitely adapted to their environments in terms of growing food. For example, in parts of China where rice is grown, people have, after, I'm sure, trial and error, figured out that rice grows best there. So they started growing rice more and more. Good for them. Another way that agriculture could be an example of possibilism would be in a city over arable land or a populated place over arable land. The land there and the use of that land is determined by the social factors or the population and want of people to live there more than the environmental factors or how the land could grow food. Environment relationship. The location of things could also have a lot to do with possibilism. Possibilism is evident in the location of things because people base factories or law firms or parking lots or their homes based on political and economical factors, which do fall under social factors. People don't move to cities because of the environment there, or a lot of times people don't move to cities because of the environment there. So, for example, there might be a lot of land constraints somewhere, and by that I mean there might be already a lot of people living there. So, a person who is wanting to build a factory where they need a lot of land and they need to spread out isn't gonna make their factory there. Another example of this could be roads and transportation. If somebody's going to have to ship a lot of things, or if somebody's going to have to drive to work every day, they're not going to live somewhere where they can't get onto a highway, or if there's a lot of traffic, that could also factor into it. Another thing that could affect the placing of a business would be the availability of people. So, if you need a lot of people to sustain your business, you're not going to move into a place where there aren't any people or there aren't enough people. The availability of people is important to you, and that is a social factor. All these are going to be more important than environmental factors. Based on a possibilistic point of view, culture is also affected by social factors. For example, if people of one culture are moving or migrating to a different area based on economical factors or political factors, they're going because of social reasons, not economical reasons. So they're not moving for the weather or the availability of grass and trees. The diffusion of culture and the diffusion of religions could be, or was in some cases, based on social things. Like, if they were feeling oppressed where they were living, they weren't going to stay there. Isolation, which is an example of environmental determinism by oceans between the Native Americans and the people in Europe, that was the environment. But it is noteworthy to say that the people who were living in England came to the Americas and clashed with the Native Americans because of social reasons. So that is an example of possibilism for the social part. Remember that you do have an effect on the environment, and everybody does, and we should, no matter what your opinion is about how much the environment affects us, save the environment and help it.